Welcome into our Saints post-game show. Unfortunately, the Saints cannot mount the comeback. They fall 27-19 to the Vikings. Quarterback Derek Carr goes down with an injury, right shoulder / concussion in the third quarter. Quarterback Jameis Winston comes in, throws 2 touchdowns. However, it is just not enough. How different was this game once the change at quarterback happened, Scott?
Yeah, I think it was a huge difference. I think there was almost a spring in the guy's step, especially offensively. You saw receivers that hadn't really gotten targeted much all year started catching some passes, and I think that goes to, when you're a backup quarterback, you work with those guys more often. So, but not only that, I think getting Chris involved. Once Jameis came in, he started to look for Chris and threw some balls up that a lot of times you say, no, don't do it, but he put it in a spot where only guys like Chris Olave can make plays. So I think when Jameis came in, he's got that let it rip mindset, and I think that's what the team needed at that point. And if this team would have played the second half or the first half like they played the second half, I don't know if this game would have been close, because the Saints are the more talented team, but you got to do it every Sunday.
That is Scott Shanle. Let's head to Minnesota, where John DeShazier is on standby. John, what was the issue to start the game on both sides of the ball for the Saints?
Well, Josh Dobbs was the issue, obviously, on offense for Minnesota, anyway, for the Saints defense. They couldn't keep him in the pocket, they couldn't corral him, and then they didn't do a very good job of coverage. So, all those things, you put them together, and what you have is a really, really lopsided, first half, maybe first 3 quarters. And so, you get those issues with it.
Looks like John DeShazier having a couple technical issues with the mic there. He was talking about, though, Josh Dobbs and how much trouble the Saints were having with the Minnesota quarterback to start the game, especially on the ground.
Yeah, I think that was the frustrating part. Going into the game, you like the matchup with the Saints defense, the way they played just as a whole. They had issues here and there a little bit last week with scrambling quarterbacks, but you thought they would get that taken care of. And the first half that Dobbs played and the tight end Hawkinson was almost too much to watch. It was almost like it was Mahomes and Kelsey out there. Those guys were tearing it up. So you like the adjustments the Saints made at halftime. You just wish those adjustments could have been made a lot earlier, because those guys were playing an amazing game. They're talented players, but I don't know if they're quite that talented. The Saints made them look better than they played. You
mentioned T.J. Hawkinson. He had 128 receiving yards and a touchdown in the first half of play. Overall, he only had 134. So they really did shut him down in the second half. And it seems like JD's got stuff figured out in Minnesota. So, John, how are you feeling just in totality after this one?
I'm feeling fine. The team isn't doing so well. Again, you can't play a quarter and a half of football and expect to win in the NFL. It's just too difficult to do. They were really, really good for the last quarter and a half or so. The juice was there, the energy was there, the playmaking was there from time to time, but you can't dig that kind of a hole on a day where your defense isn't playing very well. Defense couldn't get to Josh Dobbs. They couldn't get him off the field, couldn't stop T.J. Hawkinson. And then offensively, there was nothing going for the better part of 3 quarters. So when you have that kind of a day on the road against a team that's got a quarterback, and he gives them a little bit of belief. I mean, he's got a lot of juice to him. And so Josh Dobbs was, again, he was difficult to keep in the pocket. They got hands on him, couldn't get him on the ground. He made some great throws, and then he did some things with his legs to keep plays alive. And, we've seen the extended plays really come back to bite the Saints here over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And until they solve that issue, they're just going to continue to be demonized by it. I mean, getting quarterbacks on the ground is a huge part of the game. Being able to contain mobile quarterbacks is a huge part of today's game. And they have not been able to do that for the better part of these games. They've been able to do it some in the second half. But again, you can't play half a game and expect good things. You can't play a quarter and a half of a good game and expect good things. It's just too difficult to continue to play that way and expect to win. So the Saints are 5-5 heading into the bye, Erin.
You're talking about the rushing game there by Minnesota. They had 125 yards on the ground. 44 of those came from Dobbs.
Yeah, I think not only before the game started, knew that his legs were going to be an issue. I'm sure the Saints knew it as well going into this week. And I think that was probably the frustrating part for the coaching staff and the players is everything they wanted to shut down and stop them from doing, they were able to do it in the first half. And I give the guys a ton of credit. In the second half, it was a tale of 2 halves. That was the Saints team you expected to see, but in the first half, those plays where you let the quarterback break contain, or my biggest complaint coming away from the game was not blitzing enough. I think the Saints have been more conservative on defense this year than in the past years, maybe trying to eliminate big plays.
Yeah, well, they got more aggressive as the game went on, definitely in the second half.
Yeah, when they brought the heat in the second half, Dobbs didn't look like Mahomes anymore. Because I've said this forever. It's not a knock against Josh Dobbs. Journeyman quarterbacks don't just all of a sudden become franchise quarterbacks. There's a reason he's played on all these different teams. He's a good player. He's a good, solid player. But once you get pressure and you make him speed up that internal clock, he's not the same guy. And so once the Saints started becoming more aggressive, and I like just the aggressive mindset defensively and offensively, because guys, you seem to get more juice out of the guys when you play with that type of mindset.
Mm-hmm. They were a little aggressive. Paulson Adebo had some opportunities early in the game. He did have that one PBU that negated the first touchdown by the Vikings early, but then we just didn't see the takeaways like we usually do from this defense. Why were they not as opportunistic, or maybe just not finding those opportunities today?
Yeah, I think one thing, everybody, you can have a dispute for what I just said about bringing more heat. The Saints haven't blitzed a whole lot this year, and yet they lead the league in takeaways or near the top. So there's credibility to what they've been doing, playing more passive, playing more zone defense, rushing 3 or 4 guys. But if you're not winning with 3 or 4 guys in those one-on-one pass rushes, that wasn't happening enough today. And so Dobbs had more time to find the open guy. And I think that's why you didn't see as many takeaways. And the one thing about it is, offensive coaches know the Saints are takeaway masters. They're going to run plays where they don't put the ball in harm's way. And not to say Minnesota was ultra-conservative, but they took what the defense was giving them today.
Sure. I mean, they had a lot of success with Dobbs to Hawkinson to start off, and that's what they continued to do. One area that really got the Saints to start this game was the penalties. We hadn't seen that be such an issue over the past few games, but it has been something that has reared its head throughout the season for this team. They end up with 9 penalties, 74 penalty yards, but they were in crucial moments and they kept drives alive early in this game.
Yeah, and I think it's something we talked about a few weeks ago probably. It wasn't the type of penalties, it was the time of the penalties, it was the timeliness, it was leading to first downs, it was leading to scoring plays, and that's been the backbreaker for the Saints defense. And when you're not so much more better than your opponent, where you're not winning by 14 points and 21 points, every play matters. So I think that's why you're able to focus on the penalties more with this year's Saints team, is because those penalties, 3 points here, 7 points there, those are the differences in these games, because all these games have been tight.
Yeah. As the game went on, Jameis Winston really found a lot of success with Chris Olave. He had 9 targets, 6 receptions for 94 yards, and was able to get into the end zone late in the game. I think it was the third quarter. He was the first score from Jameis.
The back of the end zone,
but why you mentioned that they probably had a lot of time working together. How was Olave able to come up with some of those catches, though?
He's that type of athlete. And I think that's the reason you see, I think for the past couple weeks, Chris has probably been frustrated with his role in the offense, because he knows he's that type of player. The play we just saw him make, not many guys can make that play. Chris knows every day he can do that, just give me an opportunity. And that's what Jameis did. Jameis went in the game and said, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down throwing it to one of the best receivers in the league. And he gave Chris that opportunity. And sometimes you can put the ball in harm's way doing that. But it was a really good throw by Jameis, and it was an even better catch by Chris. And I think the game wouldn't have come down to those type of plays where you're just kind of throwing it up and hoping your guy makes a play if you're probably better on third downs. The third down conversions were just not good enough against a good Minnesota defense. But it's not sustainable to just kind of chuck and duck and hope your receiver comes down with those type of plays.
Yeah, I would say 4 of 14 for 29% on third down is not good enough. Somebody else that stood out, though, in the receiving game, as Michael Thomas did go out with an injury, he had a knee injury early in the game, was rookie A.T. Perry getting his first reception and then his first touchdown. And that was a battle. Yeah. He had to jump over a defender in the corner of the end zone and then almost got it taken away as he was coming down with it.
Yeah, it was an incredible play by him. You go back to that play, and this is a credit to Jameis Winston too, because Jameis Winston has one of the strongest arms in the NFL. Not many guys can roll left, and he looks across the field, and I'm watching the play saying, please don't do it, because not many guys can make that throw on that tight of a rope. And he did it. To his credit, he got the ball there just as the DB got there, but it was a great catch by Perry. It was strong hands. That's a big reason why teams go and draft body types like Perry. Big guys who can go up and high point the ball, go over DBs and rip it away from them. He's got a bright future in this league. Yeah,
it's been slow going for Perry, as he's been a healthy scratch to start a lot of these games at the beginning of the season. But past couple games, he has been active, getting an opportunity today. There were just so many moments as this game went on where there was a near pick by Winston that was called back and kept that drive alive, led to a touchdown. There were a couple false starts. I mean, there was so many things that could have gone either way and changed the momentum. But I feel like Winston just kind of kept stepping up. He seemed confident.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was not hesitant in his throws or his decisions.
No, not at all.
What does that say about him as a backup?
Well, I think it's a credit to Jameis. First of all, I've said this forever with Jameis. When they signed Jameis, it takes a special type of person to be a number 1 overall pick in the NFL, any professional sports league, and say, I will sit behind somebody for a year. Not many guys are willing to do that. And he knew that for his career, it was best for him to sit behind, listen to Sean Payton and Drew Brees and learn. And then he re-signed again, knowing that he was probably going to be a backup to Derek Carr. And I think watching Jameis go into this game, his ability to they had some end zone shots of him throwing the ball, and you could just see the look in his eye where he was just confident. He was just ripping it. And that's Jameis Winston. Sometimes it gets him into trouble. It does because he's a little too aggressive, but his personality and his throwing style was exactly what this team needed when they were down by what they were down in the second half of this game.
I mean, he's not afraid to throw it deep, and he picked up a lot of yards. He ends up with 122 and really just played one full quarter. He did have the 2 interceptions near the end of the game as they were trying to mount that comeback. The pass, though, the Hail Mary at the end of the game.
It was beautiful.
I mean, how far was that?
It was, he was on the other side. It was probably 55, 60.
He placed it perfectly in the end zone.
Yeah. It wasn't so much, I don't think, how far, because he could probably throw the ball 80 yards if he wanted to. It was, you've seen Aaron Rodgers do this in the past, where it's a rainbow ball, where it's like straight up.
Yeah, look, obviously disappointed with the way that we played today. Again, particularly in the first half of the game. I've got to find a way to get this team to be more consistent. So that's on me. I'll have to do a better job. So I'll take your questions.
What's been the biggest issue with the slow starts early on both sides of the ball?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think the bigger thing really has been, our inability on first and second down to do a better job of getting them into third and longer situations. We're allowing too many first and second down conversions, not forcing enough, third downs early on in games. So struggled again with the quarterback today. We had some opportunities to get him on the ground. We didn't cash in on those opportunities. We had some guys that were, spying him, and he made some plays. So, but yeah, we got to do a better job. Offensively, I thought we ran the ball early in the game pretty effectively, and then all of a sudden you're chasing points. It becomes a little bit more difficult to do. So, I think just as a team, we've got to do a better job of, being more competitive in first halves of games. Our guys, fought their tails off to give themselves a chance, but can't keep digging yourself into these holes and think you're going to be able to come back all the time.
Does you will say anything about what happened with Derek?
He was evaluated for a concussion. I can't really talk about it or elaborate on it.
I was going to ask you about the right shoulder. Is that anything related to his last injury?
Yeah, we'll look at it. But he was out of the game because he was evaluated for a concussion. So.
Has he been able to do any testing on the shoulder because of the concussion, or is that?
Listen, I don't know all the answers to that. I think we'll see where he's at tomorrow.
Dave, why do you think you guys respond so well? You get behind and then things kind of start flowing a little bit on both sides. Why do you think it's?
Yeah, I don't really know what the answer is to that. I'm just being honest with you. I don't know what the answer is to that. I'd like to think that we could, start a little faster, get the momentum going a little bit quicker. I do know our guys are, never feel like they're out of it. I do know that they're going to continue to fight and battle. But like I said, we can't keep digging ourselves into these holes, especially against a good football team. So.
And then what did Jameis bring to the offense?
Look, I thought Jameis did some good things in the game. Got got a couple of explosive plays. We were able to score a couple of touchdowns, a couple of two-point conversions. I thought there was some good things that he did in terms of in the passing game. It's obviously a tough situation to come into, when you're down that many points and the team really kind of knows that you're going to have to throw the ball. So I thought under all those circumstances, I thought he did a good job. I thought Chris and AT made some nice plays for him. There were probably a couple of opportunities that I thought that we might could have cashed in on, but I thought overall I was pleased with what he was able to do under those circumstances.
Was it enough to make you evaluate that position after the bye week as far as the starter?
Well, we'll see where Derek's at. I mean, I don't think we're. Well, I know we're not in a competition there. I thought Jameis did some good things, but Derek Carr's our starting quarterback.
Did Mike get hurt on that first hit?
Yes, yeah. He's got a knee injury.
What did T.J. Hawkinson do, especially in the first half, that kind of gave y'all trouble?
Well, look, he's an exceptional route runner, and so he ran some good routes and got open. We struggled to be able to cover him today. I'll go back and look at the tape and see if there's some things that maybe we could have done differently, but he obviously was a major factor in the game. Yeah, it impacted some things that we were wanting to do. I thought A.T. Perry came in and performed well, but I think anytime you lose a guy of Mike's magnitude, it affects what you're doing.
Dennis, I know you talked about the slow starts defensively, but do you feel like overall the unit has progressed this season?
Not as good, not progressed or regressed. Yeah, I don't think we're playing as well as we're capable of playing. So, yeah, I don't think we're playing as good as we're capable of playing. I think we need to play better.
Dennis, was Hawkinson doing a lot of zone beater stuff, or do you guys have man on?
No, I think he beat us in zone. He beat us in man. He beat us on a few things.
Is there anything you can say about? Sorry, I know we're going down a list of injuries. Is there anything you can say about Lattimore and what happened to him?
He's got an ankle, so Mike Thomas. Any issues really coming out of the game, really is Mike, with the knee and Lattimore with the ankle, and then obviously, Carr, is in the concussion protocol.
And there's one of the focus for this team during this bye week. What's your message?
Well, look, the focus for the players is to get away, get their minds off of football for just a little bit, kind of reset again, get their bodies healthy. So there's a lot of rehab that's going to be going on, over this next week. Try to get guys healthy and get back. And then us as coaches, we got to look at how we can put some better plans together to give our guys more opportunities to be successful.
Do you feel like it comes at a good time?
Yeah, look, I mean, you play a game like this, you kind of want to reset a little bit, but I mean, I don't know if it comes at a good time or not. We'll evaluate, kind of this tape and see what we can do better, and then we gotta get ready for Atlanta.
Dennis, can you live with the interceptions at the end with Jameis just because of the situation y'all are in, or do you want him not to make those types of decisions?
Look, without seeing the whole thing, I'll probably reserve judgment on that. Again, when you're in those situations and you're kind of in a little bit of desperation mode, sometimes those things happen. So.
You've had a lot of success with Case in the last few weeks, but only had one rush today. Was part of that a product of getting down?
Yeah.
So quickly.
Yeah. I think when you get down like that so early in the game, it really limits a lot of things that you want to try to be able to accomplish in a game. And so, we got to be better defensively of keeping the score down, in the game, in the early part of the game, so we can have what we have as our game plan going in offensively. You kind of get out of it, probably by the early part of the second quarter, just because you're now chasing points.
The sort of boost in production in the second half on the offensive side, did that come down more to execution, or did you all find something, a different way to attack it?
Yeah, I think probably just a little bit of both. We had a couple of thoughts coming out of halftime of things that we liked, and I thought our guys executed those things a little bit better, and some of the tempo stuff again was pretty good for us.
And would you say similarly, like kind of both of those things on the defensive side as well, or was scoring come down?
Yeah, I think that was a lot more about getting our eyes in the right spot and our execution more so than it was a kind of a change in philosophy or calls or whatever.
Did you have any comment about what happened with Mike on Friday night?
No. All right, guys, thanks.
That was head coach Dennis Allen talking after the 27-19 loss to the Vikings, and he did make a good point. When Jameis Winston came in, it was 27-3. So that's a tough position to put anybody in, and he was able to get back-to-back scores and the 2 two-point conversions, which Alvin Kamara ran in. So he did do some nice things, but he said that there is no quarterback competition, that once Derek Carr is healthy, he is the starting quarterback.
Yeah,
you agree with the assessment there?
Yeah, I think he coaches and players always say they don't hear the outside noise. It's hard not to hear the outside noise, especially in today's age with social media and constant 24/7 media. I think it was Dennis's way of saying, listen, we have a bye week coming up. I'm not listening to this for 2 weeks.
I don't want to hear it, right.
Yeah, and I think he took the time to clarify that just to get out of the way. And he probably did himself a favor, and he did his team a favor, to be honest, because players are going to ask the same question. And the one thing you don't want to do at this point in the season is start to get a locker room that divides and starts to choose sides of a quarterback. And I think it was important, whether you agree with it or not as a fan or even a player in the locker room, the head coach made a statement, it's not an issue, and you have to roll with it that way. Yeah,
he did say that Carr's injury, or he came out because of a concussion, did not mention anything about a right shoulder, which was on the initial report. Didn't say more than that, though. They do have that bye week, so potentially could come back after the bye week.
Yeah, and you never want to get hurt in the league, but if there is a time you get bumped up, bumps and bruises.
And the Saints, they went for it because Michael Thomas went out, Marshawn Lattimore is out with an ankle, so there are several players that got some bumps and bruises.
Absolutely. Even guys who went down but came back to play. Malcolm Roach was down on the field. Rashid was down for a while. So this bye week comes at a perfect time. Usually you like to go into a bye week with some momentum, feeling good, and you don't like to go into the bye week with a loss. But if there's a silver lining to it, you get to kind of regroup, hit the reset button, get your body fresh, and this team obviously needs that right now because they're beat up. Yeah,
Allen said that it was a good time for the players to get away from football, to rest, recover, get their bodies right. He said the coaches definitely had some things to figure out. Still need to figure out why the defense has been starting so slow. It was the second or fifth straight week that they've allowed 17, an average of 17 or more in the first half.
Which is unusual. We got so used to seeing this team holding teams under 20 points or more, and it was like suffocating, dominant defense. And then once the offense started to figure it out and come along, then the defense automatically flipped. So we're waiting for this team to play good offense and good defense at the same times. And then if you can get the special teams, that's the other thing. We really haven't talked a whole lot about it, but usually if one side of the ball is struggling offensively or defensively, you can make up that ground with your special teams. Being good in the kicking game, and it's nothing happened today punting or field goal wise that I'm saying, a big return, field position all matters, because I played for Bill Parcells and Sean Payton. They always said 100 yards of special teams yards is hitting yardage in a game, which equates to about 7 points. So those are types of plays in the return game you can make up for your lack of offense and defense.
Well, they haven't had a lot of opportunities for big returns because Rashid Shaheed ran one back for a touchdown early in the season, and I think they've really been focused on limiting his production there in the return game. And Blake Grupe goes in, he kicks his field goal today, so he does his part. His PAT, he didn't even have to have one because they went for two overtimes.
Yeah.
So he didn't have as big of a carry this week, but he at least.
Yeah, I mean, even when you think about defense special teams, being more aggressive, maybe going after punt blocks, or being aggressive when you're punting the ball, some fakes here or there just to keep the other team honest. And it all goes back to just that mindset of being aggressive. Defensively, I think you can blitz more. Offensively, you saw the aggressiveness come out of this offense in the past month of the football season. They've been one of the top offenses in the league total yardage. Not today, but when that aggressive mindset, when you go into a game and your coach, and it's probably because I played for a coach who kicked an onside kick in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's just when you have that aggressive nature in your building and you go into every game thinking there's anything we can do.
Yeah.
We can fake this. We can go block this. It's just that spring in the step that the guys had when Jameis came in the game. It's there from the beginning, and you don't need to wait for that juice to enter the sideline.
How do you get that from the beginning of the game?
It's on you as a player. It's on you as a team to have that confidence going in the game. You know, if you go into a game and you're like, there's no way we're going to lose to these guys. You just have that confidence by the way you prepare or the things that have happened to you in the past. But just like we say, confidence comes from demonstrated ability. There hasn't been a whole lot of demonstrated ability for these guys to be confident every single week that nobody can beat us.
Do you think defensively they're in their heads? They're thinking about things too much, and that's why they may be a little slow?
I definitely think so, because you've seen this defense play zone defense in the past and be just fine, get a lot of interceptions. You've seen it earlier in the year. But it's almost like there is a little bit of hesitation now in this defense.
Yep.
Somebody finally cracked them a little bit, and now they're wondering, should I be taking this guy or should I take this guy? And they're kind of caught in between. And that happened a lot today with Hawkinson. Hawkinson was open a lot because guys didn't quite know if they should match him up or not.
How do you feel about the tackling today?
It's not as good as you're used to seeing. And that's another thing. I think when you look at this defense, the four-man rush hasn't been getting home, haven't been stopping the run. They've been taking the ball away, and that's been covering up a lot of these issues.
Sure. All right, well, it sounds like quarterback Jameis Winston is on his way to the podium, so we're going to head over there and hear his thoughts after that near comeback.
What were you able to do when you came in that allowed you to spark that offense?
I mean, that was just us as a whole. When we're able to execute and do the things that we're capable of doing, we get good results.
James, I have a question about the 4th and 3 play. Were you to throw the ball, get the ball, rid of the ball? What was the plan on that particular play? Was that the play call, or were you just had to get rid of the ball?
There's a run pass option. I'm not sure what play you was talking. I think it was 3rd and 3, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe we converted on the 4th down, the 4th and 1, the next play. But I really don't know which play you're talking about.
Jameis, how much, when pushing the ball downfield, just was that kind of game plan specific, or when you get like you guys are behind, or?
I mean, we were in obvious passing situations, and we had to push the ball downfield. I just commend the guys just for continue to fight, man. We never gave up, and we gave it all we got.
What was working with your connection with the line?
Chris is just an unbelievable receiver. You know, when you give him opportunities, he does great things.
Guys, can you talk to the play to AT here?
Oh, man, that's just AT. You know, wanting his first touchdown so bad that he goes up top and makes a great play. Sometimes the best plays in football is the scramble drill. And me and AT, we working every Tuesday. Let him know, like, hey, when you get a one-on-one opportunity, man, go up there and make a play.
What did you see on that play as it unfolded?
I saw him in the corner of the end zone by himself, and as I let it go, I saw 7 break on it, so I just gave him a ball that only he can get to.
Can you speak a little bit to, there were a couple of plays where Shaheed just went all out and gave everything he had. Can you speak a little bit to his?
Yeah, I mean, we have a great group of guys. We just have to get it together. Rasheed, Chris, Mike, AT, tight end group with Jawan, Taysom, and Foster. Like, we got guys that can really go. We just got to continue to develop, continue to get better, and execute.
Can you speak to the mentality that you guys had when you lost Derek and Mike during the game and just kind of going on without them?
It's always next man up mentality, and everybody out there is grateful for their opportunities. And those guys, they took advantage of it. We just didn't end up on the winning side. Yeah, I'm grateful every time I get out there. I just want to finish.
How close do you think this team is to being who?
Man, we so close. We so close. You just saw, and really the first half showed it all, how we were just so close to converting, and things were open, and we just needed one extra second, or we needed the ball to be right here a little bit more. I think we got it, man. Like, this is obviously you want to go with a win heading into the bye week, but this is a time where we all gonna dig deep inside, look inside of ourselves, and come out on top, man. I believe this team has the will to persevere. I believe this is a resilient team. I believe we got some resilient coaches. Now it's time to go do that. Which one? The second one, I was trying to give Shaheed a chance down the field, but in that case, take what the defense gives you. We got a chance to tie up the game, and that's why I said we just got to finish. I got to finish.
And the first one?
The first one, I just gave Chris a chance, had some pressure up the middle. At the end of the day, it don't really matter. When you don't win, those get escalated, but when you win, you can move on and find a way to get better. But myself, I'm continuing to be studious. I'm continuing to give it all I got when I'm out there. So I'm grateful that I had that opportunity, and I continue to get better and finish stronger.
Did you feel like, playing in Green Bay, was this an improvement on that day, or how do you feel kind of just after?
Well, I only can focus on right now, and right now we didn't finish. So that's the biggest thing. So it's really next to this is owing to this bye week, continue to prepare, continue to find ways to build on the positives and eliminate the negatives.
Hey, Jan, we don't know the stats of Derek Carr going forward with his injury, but how comfortable are you leading this team?
Man, if I'm given the opportunity, I promise you I'm gonna be doing my best to execute, stay disciplined, and get my team all I got. But man, we got a great group of guys, so I know any and everybody will be ready. Man, I don't like going into bye weeks losing, So we definitely gonna have to just sit on this bye week and evaluate how we can get better. I think that's gonna be our main focus.
Jameis, I apologize if this is a repeat, but you guys treated kind of the last 20 minutes of the game like it was got to go down. Was that by design? Is that what the defense was presenting? I think there's only one run play maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we were in obvious passing situations, until we got down by one score. So, I mean, that's what was given, So we got to go out there and execute. We got to be grateful when we're out there on the field. Anytime we're on the field, we got to go out there and put our best tape on film.
Obviously, that worked for the first 2 touchdown drives where it kind of got the offense.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it's always one of those hindsight things,
Yeah.
Throwing deep on 3rd and 3 and things like that. I mean, do you, in any hindsight, wish that those drives?
Well, we're gonna check it out. We're gonna get back to them. Right now I'm not able to visualize, what we could have done. Like it's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. However, we need to finish, and we will finish. So right now it's about eliminating the negatives and building on the positives. And we got a lot of positives out there, So we got to do that, and we will.
And what did you like about being able to give Chris and ET those things?
Well, I mean, they're just great players. Chris is an amazing player. AT is a great young player. Rashid Shaheed is an unbelievable player. Lynn even got out there and got a catch, I think we got an amazing group of guys, man, and we just got to find ways to continue to get better. I believe we're gelling together as a team. This one just was unfortunate. So we got to get back in the drawing boards, come together, come closer together as a team, and build off this. All right, thank you.
That was quarterback Jameis Winston, and he said that there are a lot of positives to draw from this one. While they do have that bye week coming up, it doesn't mean that they're just leaving the building as soon as they get back tonight. They're definitely going to look at this film on Monday. What is the usual routine heading into a bye week?
Well, it depends if you win or lose. Had they won this game today, there'd probably be a little bit more time off. But I think this team, and you heard Jameis, you can always learn a lot by a team by the way guys are talking in the post-game press conferences. Listen to Jameis talk about his teammates, giving them praise. Happy for guys who Lynn Bowden hadn't had a catch all year, finally got a catch. Perry, he's happy for these guys. So I think the chemistry of this team is tight, and that is positive. So they're going to have no problem hanging around for an extra couple of days going into bye week. A lot of times when a team is fractured and disjointed, they want to get out of the building as soon as possible. This team will be fine with getting together, trying to fix these things, and then getting away from the game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does seem like they like each other. They enjoy each other. I'm in the locker room every week. They're joking around, playing music, having fun outside of just football. I know they put in a lot of work. Winston mentioned that he goes in every Tuesday, which is the off day, to work with A.T. Perry on different routes. And I know Perry's been putting in extra work, so he was ready when the moment came. And it was fun. It's fun for the rookie to get his chance today and get that touchdown. Yeah,
there's a lot of work that goes in that you don't see as a fan from Sunday to Sunday. I mean, everybody gets in their normal routine during the week, and Sunday's on you, and you're ready to watch another game. And there's a lot of hours put in that building in between those Sundays, and trying to fix the little things. And we sit here and they talk about execution. Well, that's the name of the game. That's the difference between winning and losing, and everybody has to execute.
Yeah.
And so at some point you have to figure out, and this is a replacement business. Either you execute or somebody else is going to execute, and that's just the name of the game. And you've seen it on this team. They've shuffled guys. Trevor started the season left tackle. Andres has been there playing now. So this team has tried to move some pieces to try to figure out what's going on. But the problem is you're kind of running out of time. It's now you have to figure out what's going to get you to win this division. What's going to put you in the home stretch.
Well, right now in the division, they are first. However, if Atlanta does get a win today over Arizona, then they will be at 5-5 as well. So they will be tied for first in the NFC South. Tampa Bay beat Tennessee 20-6 today. And then obviously Carolina lost to the Bears 16-13 Thursday Night Football. The division is definitely available for the taking. You just kind of got to clean some things up. It seems like exactly what we were saying last year. However, I don't think that Carolina's in the running.
No.
Tampa Bay looks like they've been struggling the past.
Nope. There's no Tom Brady in the building.
Nope. So it really is just between the Saints and the Falcons, and that's who the Saints get first after the bye.
Yes, the 2 weeks out of the bye are critical. They really are. I think that'll shape who's going to win this division, and there's not going to be a wild card that comes out of this division. So whoever wins this division, and it's right there for the taking, and it may be painstaking. You may watch some good with some bad, some ugly from now until the end of the season, but it all doesn't matter. If you win the NFC South and you host a playoff game, and hopefully you're playing some of your best football, because I may be an eternal optimist, but when I look at the Saints on paper and I look at the players and the all-pros and the things these guys have done, I'm just waiting for them to put it together, because to me they're the best team in the NFC South. You get a home playoff game, who knows what can happen in that playoff game? Yeah,
I mean, I understand. It's got to be frustrating for fans to look out and see all of the offensive weapons, see what this defense can be at times, and to not put it together, I mean, from quarter to quarter, week in and week out. Had the 2-game win streak, unfortunately don't get this one here today, but they do get that time to kind of rest, reset. It came a little earlier. They had it with like the mini bye after the Jacksonville Thursday night game. Yeah. So the way the schedule has panned out this year, it's been very advantageous for the Saints. They don't play a difficult schedule, so there is opportunity still out there for them.
I would agree with that, and I think that in itself lends to some of the frustration fans and even the guys in
True,
the building.
right.
You know, when you get that
Unfortunately,
schedule.
the Falcons have the easiest schedule. We have the second
Yes,
easiest.
yes. So the schedule makers did the NFC South teams a favor, and I really do believe that's part of the frustration. That's part of my frustration is when that schedule came out. I'm like, 12 wins. You just look at it and you're like.
A lot of people were saying 10.
Yeah, but then the NFL.
So you did say you're optimistic.
I am very optimistic. But then the NFL happens, and you realize anybody can be beat on any given weekend. You look at there's really not upsets in the NFL because these are all grown men getting paid money and coaches getting paid to beat one another. So there's not really upsets in the NFL. But when you look at teams on paper, you like to say, we have a better this, we have a better this, and then you go down the schedule and you feel like you have a lot better than what other teams have. It should result in wins.
Look, you're married, but when you date, people look good on paper, and it does not translate all the time. So I understand exactly what you're saying. Starting the game off, the Saints were able to stop the Vikings from scoring 7, and they settled for a field goal. Did you see any improvement from the defense in the way that they started?
Oh, absolutely. I was shocked at how slow the defense started, to be honest. And I really thought they were going to come out and be ultra aggressive against Dobbs. And part of the reason they weren't is probably because his legs. But to me, I think when you pressure, you keep guys like that in the pocket. And you make them throw tight window throws against man coverage with people hitting them in the face, and they don't like to do that. So I was shocked at the lack of aggressiveness. I was just shocked at the lack of juice. I mean, there was no carryover from week to week. It's just like like every week you start over.
Used to have that red cup, right?
Yeah.
He called himself the Juice Boys, and he'd bring the red Solo cup out, and he was the one who used to get it going.
Yeah.
Who's got to do it?
It can still be DeMario, but it's almost like it has to be a younger guy. Because I know when you get older in the NFL, and 30 is like old in the NFL, and here's DeMario's 35 years old and still playing excellent football.
Leading the team in tackles.
Team in tackles, making huge plays. The sack today when they needed it most. He continues to make big plays. But I think sometimes it's fun when you're an older player in the league to see the younger players kind of take over what you've been doing, and you kind of pass down your traditions to younger players. I think it's okay for some of the younger guys to step up and let the older guys know, we've learned from you.
Right.
Like, we've learned a lot from you, and we want to continue to do this. It's invigorating as an older player when you see the younger guys do that.
Well, maybe they will figure that out over the next couple of weeks as they have some time to reflect on how things have gone through the first 10 weeks of play. Fortunately, going into the bye with a 27-19 loss to the Vikings, 5-5 on the season, still in first place in the NFC South, though. For former linebacker Scott Shanle, I'm Erin Summers. Thank you so much for joining us for this post-game show, and we will see you in 2 weeks.